Now to the second part of our special report on biofuels in Australia. In what's seen as a world first, an Australian-based company has found a way to convert agricultural waste into oil. The so-called bio-crude could one day take the place of petrol, fueling cars and even aircraft. It could be commercially available within 5 years.
The key difference between this and other
An Australian research team believes it's struck oil, a renewable alternative to fossil fuels made from plant materials that would otherwise be thrown away. This is the Licella pilot plant an hour north of Sydney. It's at the cutting edge of research into second-generation biofuels. Unlike first-generation biofuels, these are not made from grain that could otherwise be used for food. And they're not competing with agriculture for land and water. Today, they're taking sawdust and transforming it into oil.
It's classed as a waste product, so it actually costs the sawmill money to remove that and get rid of it. So most of the materials we process are waste materials. So we're solving a waste problem, and we turn that waste problem into a mainstream oil situation.
The plant can run on any leftover organic material, even pondweed. This biomass is mixed into a slurry, pressurised and heated to around 320 degrees centigrade. It's then fed into a reactor where the water reaches a supercritical state.
So we take a solid, and this is where the solid goes to an oil, a simpler molecular structure.
This is the end product, an oil that, unlike ethanol, can go into existing refineries to be turned into fuel. The beauty of this process is that it uses a waste product like sawdust or even algae. It turns that into a thick, treacly bio-crude oil. And it costs roughly the same as producing a barrel of conventional oil from fossil fuels. One big advantage over fossil fuels is that the carbon produced can be reabsorbed and used to grow the next batch of raw material. Len Humphreys has a vision of algae ponds situated alongside power stations.
It absorbs the CO2 from the power station, the algae would bloom, we harvest the algae straight off, put it through our process, and we can turn the algae into a bio-oil. So you can turn an emission from a power station into a stable bio-oil. Rather than being a problem to the environment, you can turn it round and recycle that CO2 to make the fuel all over again.
The hope is that over the coming decades, biofuels like this will gradually take the place of petrol.
I don't think you'll see a scenario in the next 10 to 20 years where you can stop using fossil. I think as fossil becomes rarer and more difficult to get, I think bio-oil will start to increase and start to augment more. But initially it's a blending, and it starts to augment, then maybe in 20, 30 years' time, it starts to replace significantly fossil oil.
Experts believe biofuels are just part of the solution.
Yeah, I don't see biofuels as being a magic bullet for meeting our transportation needs in the future, but I see it as an important niche and possibly providing a good percentage of our future needs.
The federal government is putting $15 million into second-generation biofuels research. The next step is to shift production to a commercial scale. Ursula Malone, World News Australia.
Craig Foster is coming up next with all the day's sports news. Justine Anand